Hey ladies, it's Tara with Wellness with Tara. I hope you are doing well today. If you are local, I hope you're enjoying this gorgeous weather that we're having today. It's like 72 degrees outside or something and sunny in the middle of February. That's fantastic. So if you haven't already been out there, get out there. I was just talking to someone else in a different part of the country today who's in the middle of an ice storm. So let's be grateful for this gorgeous weather that we have locally. The cost of avoiding stress. That's what we're going to talk about today. And some of you are probably thinking, what in the world are you talking about, Tara? I thought the whole point of this series was how to avoid stress or how to, get away from stress. And I'm here to tell you that that's not the point of this series. We cannot escape stress. We can remove and take away some of the stressors in our life, but we cannot avoid stress entirely, and we shouldn't. We've talked about this a little bit so far in the few videos we've had on this topic, but some other things to consider today. What are things that, how will it cost us to try to avoid stress? So, for example, one way we often avoid stress, especially women, especially those of us who are mamas and we're at home and we don't have a whole lot of outlets, one way that we tend to avoid stress is by emotional eating. So instead of dealing head on with whatever that stressor is or finding a good, proactive, beneficial way to deal with that stress, we go straight to our pantry or our refrigerator or our cabinet for some chocolate or some ice cream or some potato chips or whatever it is that makes us feel really good in the moment until afterwards, when then we feel ashamed of what we did, or we feel physically blah because of whatever it was that we just ate. And so one cost of avoiding stress is literally the coping strategy itself, because most of the time those things that we go to, we're going to end up paying for later, whether it be with our waistline or further increasing our stress, because sugar, actually, excess sugar consumption can lead to more stress on our body. Even though it feels really good in the moment and we enjoy it in the moment, it can actually further push that stress on our body and within ourselves. Avoiding stress can also keep us from seeking out future opportunities. So I'll use myself as a very personal example here. If I wanted to avoid stress, I would not be in the business that I'm in right now. It is very stressful to be an entrepreneur. So I'm just going to kind of lay this out here. I do a lot for my business, and not much of it is visible on the outside. You all don't see a lot of what I do as far as the ins and outs, the everyday, the planning my programs, the research, the studying, the behind the scenes stuff with, like, PayPal or any of those things, or creating a program, spending hours on the computer working on things. You all don't see that from the other side. That's very stressful. And if I wanted to avoid stress, then this just wouldn't exist, and I wouldn't get to spend this time with you guys, which I really love doing and hope to do it more, and would love for you guys to interact in a way that we can really go back and forth with one another on these types of topics. And so limiting our future potential, that's another thing that happens when we avoid stress. And honestly, it also keeps us a little more insular. Now, some of us are extroverts, some of us are introverts by nature, but when we are avoiding stress entirely, we're doing everything we can to avoid stress. We often have to avoid people to do that, because the fact is, relationships are messy. Even good, awesome relationships are messy, and things get stressful and difficult and complicated and weird and awkward, and that's okay, because ultimately those relationships are worth all of that, right? Because what we have and what we bring from those relationships and what we give to those relationships is worth the stress that kind of comes in the middle there. So those are a few things that just happen when we avoid stress. So the goal here is not avoiding stress. Do we want to reduce stress in our lives? Well, absolutely. If there are things that we can reduce stress in, such as not overscheduling ourselves or overprogramming ourselves, amen. Reduce that stress there, right? That's what we want to do. Do we want to be able to minimize stress by taking all of our concerns and our anxieties and our fears to the Lord in prayer? Absolutely. Do all those things. I wouldn't call that avoiding stress. I would call that praying, for example. I would call that actively working to take that to the Lord and take it off of your shoulders, because that's what He's called us to do anyway. So those are just a few thoughts on ways that we avoid stress. I would love to know if you have any particular ways you avoid stress, or you're tempted to avoid stress, and how you kind of grow from there and what you do next. In our next video, we're going to talk about different responses to stress. Some of them you may have heard before, some of them you may not. But definitely just leave me some comments or hit some, the like button or the love button on here if you have any thoughts you want to share with us. Please do. With us, there's more than one of me apparently. With me, please do, because I want these videos to be as helpful to you as humanly possible. So that's it for today. Go outside and enjoy the weather if you're in a place where you can do that, and we'll chat again soon. Take care. Bye-bye.